Hi class, we're gonna go over how to factor this trinomial. So this is a little bit different than what we've seen before, and so we need to do an extra step for this problem. So we're gonna try factor this one out, but there's a few things we need to now look into this. All right, so what we need to know is that before you try to factor this into two binomials, you need to figure out whether you can factor a common factor from these three terms. If you notice, there's three terms, right? But notice that the first term, if you break this into its terms, maybe actually I'll write here. If you break this into their own terms, it's 3 times y times y times y, w times w, right? And then here you have 42 is 3 times 7 times 2 times 7, right? And w plus this will be a little more. It'll be 2 times, let's say, 5 times 6. And of course we can break this one more further, but we'll do this, right? So if you know, let me actually break that further. We have 2 times 3 w, right? So if you notice, I broke down these into their own factors, right? There's simplified factors. Usually you don't do this step and you don't write it out, but you just visualize it. What I want you to know is that notice that they all have a common factor of 3. So that means that you're gonna be able to factor that out. So factor that 3 out, right? So there's a 3 out. And then if you notice, you can also see that there's another factor. You notice they all have at least a factor of w times w, right? If you notice that, so we can say that we can factor a product of w times w. So it'll be a w times w is w squared. So that's factored out. Right. So after this, right, and when you factor those out, then you're gonna be left with some leftovers, right? Whatever is left behind, whatever was in use, is going to be what's going to be inside the parentheses. So if you notice, we use the 3, we use these. So what's left behind is the w times w, which is w squared. The minus was in use, so that goes there. And the 2 times 7 times w was in use, so that's going to give us 14w. And the plus goes there. And then we have the 2 times 5 times 2, which is 20. Oh, sorry. Did I miss something here? 2 times 5 is 10. I think yes. There was yes, there was one. I'm missing 2. So there you go. So it actually is 2, 5, and 2 and a 2, right? So that gives us 5 times 8, which is 40. And then we use those 2 w's. All right, so there you go. So we have factor our trinomial into this form. So now we have this factor times this factor. The question you have to ask yourself is, can we go further than this? And the answer in this case is yes. So what we're gonna continue factoring this further. The 3w squared will sort of be left behind, but the goal is not left behind, but will be carried over. That's what I meant. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna factor this into a binomial times a binomial. So remember what we said, binomials are 2-term polynomial. So in order for us to get the w, and because the coefficient of this is 1, we don't have to do the AC method. So what we can do is, how can we get a w square? right? So we know that we can just do w times w, right? This will give us our w squared. That's how we're gonna get it, right? The question is now, how do we get this number here? So can we get this number here? And that will come from multiplying those two numbers to give you 40. So what we're gonna do here is we have to have a product to give us 40, and let me change this color, and the sum needs to give us negative 14, right? So we're looking for two numbers that when you multiply it gives you positive 40, but when you add them together, sorry, it's gonna give you negative 14. So I will start with 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 3 times something does not give you 40, 4 times 10 gives you 40, 5 times 8 gives you 40, 6 times something does not give you 40, 7 times something does not give you 40, 8 times something, we already have that combination here. So here we have the small one, the small column, and then we have the big column. In order for us to get a positive, we either have positive times positive or negative times negative, right? That's how we can get a product that is positive. But in order for us to get a sum that is negative, that only happens when you add two negatives for this order. So that means that both have to be negative. Let me put this in a different color. Negative, 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 negative. So this will give you negative 41 when you add them together. This will give you negative 21. This will give you negative 14, which, yay, that's what we're looking for. And this will give you negative 13. All right, so these do not work, right? These do not work. And so the combination we're looking for is that. Okay, so here we go. It will be negative 4 and negative 10, the two numbers we're looking for. And there you go. So in conclusion, we have that 3 times w to the fourth minus 42y cubed plus 120 w squared is equivalent to 3 times w squared w minus 4 and w minus 10. And there you go, right? So that's the factor form of this trinomial. All right, I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if you have any